Hi, this is Dell. Thank you for listening to this podcast.
Hi, this is Amy Adams. Welcome to the podcast, read by me, written by Dell. Copyright 2020, all rights reserved in their entirety. Episode 13. Candace, March 10th. It's late at night. What a difference a day makes. Mike is his name. We went back today to see if he had been back to the store. I went there first. I hoped to catch him there early, but he wasn't there. Tom dragged his feet, like he didn't want to go at all. He didn't say that, but it seemed that way to me. Maybe things were just getting to me. Tom's been putting more and more pressure on me to be with him. Lydia's been turning up the I hate you attitude. Maybe it's just me. Or just was me. Either way, by the time we did get there this morning, the snow was melting, and there was no real way to tell if he had ever been there at all. I thought about what I had decided yesterday, just going without Tom, but I waited. We went back to the river and began looking along the banks on that side. I couldn't figure where he had gone. I backtracked to the store, thinking I must have missed him. Missed something anyway. And on the way back, I saw him crossing the end of Public Square. I practically screamed out loud, but he didn't hear me. By the time we got there, he was gone. The day just started to slide away. I began to think I wouldn't find him at all. It depressed me. And that was when Bob smelled smoke. All we had to do was follow the smoke, and we found him. Well, Bob found him. How do you follow smoke? Have you ever tried? I mean, if I could see it in the air, sure, but I couldn't. Bob knew how to follow it simply by smelling it. I guess there's a lot more that I could say about today, but I'm not going to say it now. I'll say this, though. I want him. I want him, and Tom knows it. It's like Tom knew it would turn out this way. Jan knew how I felt, knew how it could be. She told me that today. She said she could see it in me last night. Like this is the way it's supposed to be. Lydia knows too. She's happy about it. I saw her face when she figured it out. She looked from me to Mike and back. Then she did it again. This puzzled look on her face, and then she smiled, looked at me, and nodded. I think she's just biding her time now. I guess I am too. Michael Collins. Mike. I think I already wrote his name. I don't know what happens next. I don't know how to make it happen. I'm no good at that sort of thing. I've never done it. And my little notebook here, my only friend through all of this, along with Jan, can't help me with that. I can write it here, look at it, but that doesn't realize it. I still have my father's gun. That has also been my friend the last few days. But it can't help me either, unless I shoot Tom. I guess that's not funny. Tom never liked my gun. It bothered him. Not ladylike. Something like that, I think. Mike wasn't shocked at all by it, except to say he should have already gotten one and hadn't. It didn't intimidate him, in other words. Tomorrow is March 11th. I would have started a new life tomorrow. Maybe one I wasn't meant to start. I feel like, I don't know. To be honest, I feel like I'm just a dumb girl pretending to be a woman all grown up. Does 19 know everything? No. I don't want to pretend at this. I want to get things right. I don't know what's next, but does anyone? Mike, March 12th. Things have been really crazy the last few days. I'm not alone anymore. It's funny because that's the last thing I wrote, and 2 days later it's like an answer to prayer. It happened late on the evening of the 10th. Oh, and it was the 10th. Tom has an old-fashioned wind-up watch. So does Candace. And they both kept track. Kept them wound up, too. But in another way, it isn't the 12th day at all, because the days and nights, or the rotation of the Earth that makes it days and nights, isn't the same anymore. It's much slower. It takes about 28 hours to cycle through. But last week it was up to almost 36 hours, and none of us knows why, except it's slowed up and now it's starting to get back to a normal length of time to cycle through day and night. So it's not really the 12th, and they've just been keeping track of the days as they pass, same as I've been, except for the day I thought I'd lost. Anyway, as usual, I'm getting ahead of myself, again. Let me start from the start. I was organizing stuff. There was a warehouse down closer to the river full of wooden pallets. I went down there a few days ago, box upon box. I have no idea what's in them. I figured sometime I'd just open up a few and see. Maybe it would be something useful, maybe not. What's useful now is radically different from what used to be useful. Anyway, I noticed all the pallets. Pallets everywhere. Some full, some piled high with stuff, but a lot of empty ones. So I went back down with the sled and made a few trips back and forth to the cave so I could stack the canned stuff on them, so they're not sitting on the floor. I was putting them in the back of the cave. I was so wrapped up in stacking the canned goods that I never even heard them until Candace cleared her throat. I guess to get my attention. It scared me badly. I thought about the gun I had never bothered to go and get, and a lot of other bad stuff. It went through my mind so fast. The first thing in my head was, the wolves got me. They sneaked up on me. Stupid, I know. I knew it was a person, but my head still insisted wolf. It didn't last, though, and my reaction scared them too. Lydia said I had a can of peas in my hand, and she was sure I was going to bean Candace in the head with them. For some reason she found it funny that I would bean someone in the head with a can of peas, and she giggled. I really felt embarrassed, and I was glad I didn't throw the can. I set it down on the stack and took a few deep breaths instead. We all ended up laughing our asses off. Nervous energy. Release, I guess, or something like release. And then we all began to talk at once. They had known about me for 2 days. They had seen that someone was going in and out of the supermarket. They were going out to one on the north side, the other side of the river from where I was. For some reason I hadn't thought to cross the river. They had already been on the other side to begin with, and even though the main bridges seemed too damaged to be trusted, the railroad trestle seemed solid and unharmed to them, so they crossed over on that to get to my side. I was impressed. That's an open trestle, and a long way down to the water. Because the snow on the asphalt was melting, they couldn't figure out where I was going when I left the market. They were actually going back across the river when Candace happened to look over her shoulder toward the opposite bank and happened to catch me going into the cave. She had thought to yell, but over the sound of the rapids, she couldn't get anyone around her to hear her, let alone me. Once they were across, she talked to Tom. Tom pretty much is their leader, or was their leader. I don't know if I like that. Do we need leaders? But anyway, they decided to come back the next day, which was 2 days ago, and see if they could find me. They didn't know about the cave. Candace had thought I was just climbing the rock above the river. They searched along the back of Public Square, or what's left of it, and down toward Coffeen Street. If they had come back down one more road toward the river, they would have found the cave then. Maybe they hadn't realized there was a road there at all. So they just followed the path of the river, thinking I was living in one of the fallen down buildings along the banks. They had seen me from quite a way off, crossing the square as they were heading back. It looked to them like I was heading for the north side, maybe crossing one of the other bridges, but by the time they got there, I was gone. They even began to wonder if I had seen them and hidden on purpose, maybe out of fear. They had searched for a while, and then, just when they had been about to quit for the day, Bob had realized that he could smell smoke. As soon as he said it, everybody else realized they had smelled it all along as well. After that, it didn't take long to find me and the cave. They just followed the smell of smoke down to the lower road and found the cave. So that was that. And now we are 6. Thomas Evans. He was their leader, as I said. He's an older guy in his late 30s. He used to be a truck driver. Candace Loy, don't call her Candy. I don't know why. She's 19 and was visiting her grandparents. She was from Syracuse. I thought she was with Tom. I think Tom thought so as well. Bob and Jan Dove. Bob is a little older than Jan, in his 50s, and he said he is a mechanic. Jan did data processing. And Lydia. Her real name is Marcia George. Lydia is her middle name. She said she always liked Lydia better. She was still in school, local college. I guess she's the same age as Candace, 19. And last but not least, me. We spent all of yesterday getting their stuff from across the river and bringing it over to the cave. I thought that was kind of weird. Why go get stuff anyway? You can have anything you want. It's all free. But in another way, I guess I understand. We've lost everything. We want to hang on to what little bit we still do have. We're all going to stay here, and we talked about what's next and what we know about what happened. I said I had been kind of planning to leave once spring came, head south or west, somewhere where I wouldn't have to worry about winter. Tom said it may be that where it would normally have been warmer, it won't be anymore. He said it depends on what happened, and none of us really know. He thinks it might be smarter to stay here. We could stock up this cave. We could even hunt. He said he's sure there are deer around. Bob agreed with him, at least on there being deer around. I told them about the footprints by my house. They said they had seen footprints as well. They had gone out Coffeen Street and seen the tracks of 3 or 4 people going in and out of a small store there. They had called out, but no one had answered. They had second thoughts about calling out, too. They weren't armed. What if someone shot at them? That brought my original thoughts to mind about a weapon. I mentioned the sporting goods stores, and we all agreed to make a trip out there soon. We talked about cars and trucks and agreed it would be good to get an SUV or a truck of some kind if we could find one that will run, as they might be the only vehicles that could drive around as bad as things are torn up. They have also tried starting a few vehicles with no success. I mentioned my electronic brain idea, and Tom said he had thought of the same thing. Turns out he's also a mechanic. I guess I can see why they chose him to lead. I feel kind of useless around the guy, though. We agreed to try finding an older vehicle. Tom thinks our chances of getting one running are good. We'll see what we can find. The first night together was good. The best I've slept since this thing started. Just not being alone, you know. I guess I'll end on that note.
Thanks for joining in. See you next week.